What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR. Sitting across from me this week and every week, it's our very own VR Nostradamus. It's Desra.
Does that mean I'm French and dead?
I mean, are you French? Desra sounds like a French name.
No, I'm not. I'm German and Dutch.
No longer sounds French.
Yeah. Anyway, sitting across from me is Brian Paul.
Oh, that's how we do this. And every week on Why We Love PSVR, we pull a game out of the archives. We discuss it at length. We determine whether it's been improved or not since, you know what, none of this is relevant this week.
No, this is the exception that proves the rule.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're not talking about any game in particular today.
We're actually going to prove that we don't know how to do an episode if we're not talking about a specific game.
Yeah.
What are we going to talk about this week, Desra?
We're going to do our E3 predictions.
This is going to be so much fun. I'm so excited about this.
Yeah.
I spent all day today coming up with E3 predictions.
So this is actually really interesting and weird for me because, like, as I've said before, until PlayStation VR came out, what?
Shit, nothing.
No.
Until Dawn 2.
Until
Prediction
Dawn.
number one. Yeah.
Until PlayStation VR came out, I was always deliberately a generation or two behind.
Right.
So E3 would come and go, and I'd catch a headline here and there, but it really wasn't something I paid too close attention to.
Now it's on the forefront of everyone's mind.
Right, and then on the flip side, like you are like Mr. E3.
I'm Mr. E3.
Mr. E3. Ooh.
Mr. E3. Sometimes I'm Mr. E4.
Yeah,
I don't know what that means. Yeah.
So it's just fun, like coming into this game. Like I have no idea if my guesses actually sound reasonable or cogent, or just someone who's like, "Oh, Des has no idea what he's talking about." That's very true.
So, and there's really two different ways to go about predicting things for E3. Mm-hmm. There's one where you can go, "Hey, here's all the facts we're aware of,
right?
And here's logical things that a smart business would do."
Mm-hmm.
If we were Sony, here's what we would do.
That ain't what I did.
No. I think most of what I did, in fact, was to go the opposite direction.
Okay.
And say, as a fan of PlayStation VR, of Sony, of the PlayStation ecosystem, this is what I want. These are my dream predictions.
Okay.
But I feel like I didn't go that far with it.
Yeah.
I wasn't like, every single prediction isn't like Resident Evil 8. Right, because that would be like the outlandish, like way too early prediction that I would give 5 times over.
Okay,
but so I guess I'm somewhere in the middle is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So I guess we should just jump right off, right?
Sure, perfect.
All right. So listen, for anyone unfamiliar, I can't believe there would be anyone unfamiliar with what E3 is, but it's the Electronic
Entertainment Exposition.
Entertainment Expo, and it's taking place this year, 2018, June 12th to the 14th at the Los Angeles Convention Center.
Woohoo!
Now, last year we were shocked by the ridiculous number of PlayStation VR announcements.
Yeah, they really knocked it out of the park.
Because E3 a lot of times their press conference, and that's generally what we're looking at here, the pre-show and the press conference. That's where most of the announcements are shown. It's usually for investors, right? And so you want to focus on the big money, big ticket items. So the fact that they spent so much time talking about PSVR last year. It was like a 20-minute...
No, it definitely let us know that they were taking it seriously. This wasn't going to be something, this is an experiment, we're going to put it away now. Right. It was like, no, they were doubling down.
Yeah, that's where Skyrim got revealed. That's where Super Hot VR got revealed. Like this was a big deal E3 last year.
Yeah.
So we're going into this year, into this year's press conference, hoping for a lot more, obviously. And that's what this whole show is about.
Yeah, so...
you want to take us away with the very first prediction, Desra?
Sure. Well, since you kind of led me into it, I think this is kind of a no-brainer. I would be very, very shocked if there wasn't some mention of this, but you mentioned Skyrim last year. We've seen Fallout released. We've seen Skyrim come out for Oculus and Vive. We've seen Fallout come out for Oculus and Vive. It seems it's only fair that they're going to be announcing Fallout.
Fallout 4 VR for PlayStation VR.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a no-brainer. They've already done the transition from one console to the other with Skyrim. E3 is coming right up. The timing seems to work out. Yeah, it probably won't be something they lead with, but it's going to be in there, I think.
I wouldn't be surprised if they led with it, because the rumors and speculation for the last year have been through the roof.
Yeah.
I mean, there have been numerous leaks, and we're calling them leaks, right? But we don't know where they came from or how they appeared. But we're talking in GameStop's official catalog of upcoming games. That's not for the general public; it's for their employees.
Right.
Fallout 4 for PlayStation VR was absolutely listed. In all fairness, it was given a 2017 release.
Yeah.
But for it to also show up on, I want to say, Target Italy or Target France's website, it showed up there. It also showed up on the Australian store JB Hi-Fi.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it was leak after leak after leak, and all of them said 2017.
Right.
But 2017 wouldn't have made sense for this title.
No, absolutely not. They were still trying to get the press, and I think they wanted to get the Skyrim for PC VR, get that, and just like, okay, now we've stopped talking about that. Now it's time to hit us with it. Another cross-platform. Yeah. And they're also, I mean, we've got whatever Starfield is coming down the pike, so they need to get something to get our attention off that for a while.
What?
Starfield?
I don't know.
Oh, okay, that's Bethesda's new rumored game.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's supposedly science fiction based. Folks out there know what I'm talking about, maybe.
Awesome. I had no idea.
It's not going to be PSVR, so we don't care.
That's why I had no idea. So last year, it would be different if the install base for PlayStation VR was like 60 million wide. Like if everybody who owned, 70 million at this point, if everyone who owns a PS4 also owned the PlayStation VR,
that'd be insane.
It would have been so easy for Bethesda to say, here's your Skyrim, here's your Fallout, enjoy.
Yeah.
But last year, in November, I mean, we're talking like 2 million PlayStation VR headsets.
Yeah.
It's like the smart business move is to go, here's one of those games.
Yeah.
Here you go, because if you said here's both, half of your audience, very small audience already, would have chosen one over the other. Mm-hmm. And the other half would have chosen the other one over the other. Instead, they probably sold quite a few units. And now here a year later, everyone has played Skyrim all year long. Mm-hmm. And now they can benefit again. They would have cannibalized their own sales if they released them both at the same time.
Yeah.
So this makes perfect sense to me. And also, there was Bethesda Games Studios themselves tweeted, "It's been fun bringing our style of games to VR. We plan on supporting as many platforms as we can."
Okay.
So, I mean, there's no question here.
So, Oculus Go users, there's hope.
There's probably no hope for that.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
You bought a phone. Sorry.
The other thing about this is that I do know that Bethesda isn't doing all of this in-house.
Okay, yeah.
They're not. They're a gigantic team.
Yeah.
But they are relying on a smaller team to get this thing over into VR, and that's Escalation Studios.
Okay.
Now, Escalation.
Good work, folks.
They've been they were acquired by Bethesda or by ZeniMax, their parent company, very recently.
Yeah.
Only a year ago, February 1st of 2017.
Okay.
So you can only assume that's probably when the Skyrim transition started happening.
Right, yeah.
So you're dealing with a team here that if they, I'm guessing at this point their only job is to take Bethesda properties and shove them into VR.
Yeah.
So not only.
Oh, do you think? They'll just go back on like the back catalog.
Be awesome.
Like,
talking the Dishonored.
New Vegas, yeah.
Yeah, New
Morrowind.
Vegas would be great. Absolutely. Not to mention things like the Escalation Studios also had a part in creating the multiplayer in the old 360 PS3 game Rage.
Which also, speaking about leaks, that just hit today.
What was that?
Oh, yeah, Rage 2. There was a Walmart,
really?
Some Walmart France or something like that. Basically, like put a release date for Rage 2.
What's going on in France?
Yeah,
This is
and
craziness.
actually, so if you haven't seen this, I don't know if we can throw up, but Bethesda had the best response, and basically said, "Yeah, it's not going to be in all caps or whatever." And they basically just critiqued the graphic design of their announcement, rather than just saying, "Yeah, it's not going to happen. You guys suck."
So I mean, what a great time to say, hey, you know what? Remember Rage? Here's Rage 2, but while you're waiting for that, here's Rage in VR. Here's a new way to play our classic. So I mean, that's the great thing about Escalation is that if this is what their job is, then by all means, I mean, I'll play Dishonored in VR.
Yeah,
I didn't have a huge interest in playing that on a flat screen, but I will play the crap out of that in VR.
I'll be Dishonored in VR.
There we go. You've played it?
No, I said I'll be Dishonored.
Oh, you'll be Dishonored in VR. like you said, you'll beat it. All right. I know I kind of took control over that one.
Well, it looks like that was one of your predictions too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I wouldn't have had so much to say if it wasn't one of my predictions.
I don't think. I mean, that's not like a big stretch. It's like saying yes, there's going to be reporters at E3.
Yeah,
there's a prediction too.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't think it's a stretch. I think there's a huge possibility that it won't happen.
Right.
And
like, what if that's the one thing we're wrong about? We get all these other like crazy guesses, and those are right, and this is the one thing we biff.
If that's the one thing we biff, I'll still be super duper happy. Right. Also, I'll be super duper happy if this next one comes to fruition. This next one is the other quote unquote obvious thing that we all want, but it's still a possibility we won't see.
Yeah,
I'm still predicting it'll happen. New Move controllers.
Oh, you poor summer child. Yeah.
Am I disillusioned?
Talk
to me.
Well, no, I know
you can give a counterpoint before I even start.
Well, sure. I know it's something everyone wants.
Yeah.
I know it's something that makes sense. It's logical, but part of the big success of the PSVR was the fact they use a lot of off the shelf stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff they already had lying around, designs they already had, designs they could work up and fix. Unless we see an announcement of a whole new hardware set, I don't hold your breath. I don't think. But your counter argument.
I mean, my counter argument is that absolutely, I agree with you that at launch, getting this thing out there with a limited number of titles, and knowing that their sales base was going to be very small. It's like they wanted to get it into as many hands as possible.
Sure.
There weren't a ton of games that were selling this thing. So they had to rely on word of mouth and the fact that it was really cheap to get into it, even though it's it wasn't terribly cheap. It's much cheaper now.
Right.
It made sense, but now word's starting to get out. The bigger games are starting to come down the pipeline.
Yeah.
You can put anybody into VR with a copy of Resident Evil 7, with a copy of Skyrim, hopefully Fallout 4, and say look what you can do. Here's what's so great. But the problem with doing that is that, yes, you might get the VR headset in someone's hands because it's cheap and because the Move controllers are cheap. But the second you try to get somebody who's not already super acclimated to moving in VR with Move controllers that don't have analog sticks on them, it's super confusing. For you put somebody in there with DualShock 4, no problem.
Yeah.
You can put somebody in a game like Shooty Fruity, be like, oh, I get it.
Right, that makes sense.
These things are guns, no problem.
Yep.
But the second you start having to say, okay, now hit the move button on the left controller and then point to which direction you want to move, and the buttons on this controller, what? Are you serious?
Yeah.
It's such an obstacle to overcome for first timers that even though they might be blown away by the way things look, they're already put off by the way things move, by the way you have to interact in this world.
Yeah. You think it's first timers or people who are experienced gamers who are trying VR for the first time? Because I think those are two different groups.
I think two different groups that experience the same problem.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
Like, I mean, it's an issue that needs to be fixed, and I think that a lot of us are very forgiving of it because we're used to it now.
Yeah.
It's like I'm used to it, but I'm ready to move on. I'm ready for something new. I'm ready for something better. Now, obviously, the biggest thing that I have to support my case is the patents that came out.
Sure.
Those were sort of shown online recently, a few months back. It's not that recently, but these are some strange looking patents.
Yeah.
Right? They have Move controllers, or they have analog sticks on the Move controllers. They have more of a aim style button layout. So there's got the analog stick in the middle, and then around the analog stick there's some different buttons, which works great on the aim controller.
Yeah.
Right? But there's also no big bulb. There's no big light tracking bulb.
Right.
And what they're saying here is that, as you mentioned, unless there's like a whole new HMD that's also being released, they're saying that the patent works for the HMD to track your hand movement instead of the camera. Yeah.
With the existing,
it's a patent for something that might be way far off.
And it could just be some blue sky engineering that they just threw a patent together for just to cover their ass in case.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's complicated. It definitely, I think it puts things in my favor that there's a patent out there that says, hey, this is something we're experimenting with, that we're working on, that we are very interested in maybe one day creating. But it also says, hey, maybe this is something that's a little bit further off than we're not committed to doing this right away.
Yeah, and also in your favor, they did release the slight upgrade of the headset too. There's that. So
right.
yeah.
Maybe there's some tracking stuff in there that we don't even know is there.
Yeah.
Highly doubtful.
I'm sure someone would have torn one apart by now and figured that out.
Pretty sure.
Yeah.
Pretty sure. The thing, I hate saying this, but yeah, when they released the new Move controllers not that long ago, with the extended battery life and the micro USB charging ports, it makes me nervous that this will never be a thing, at least this generation. But my fingers are crossed, and I really, really hope. I think most people would buy them day one. Like, here's $100, give me 2 of them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right.
What's next?
So this is one. It's actually not really a Sony related one, but I think it's kind of important to talk about the elephant in the room. Of course, the number 2 console that's out right now is the Xbox.
It's not the Switch.
Actually, no.
I have no idea.
I don't even know.
Microsoft doesn't reveal their sales numbers anymore, so we have no idea.
Yeah. But be it, I mean, as if we're talking about cutting edge gaming in your living room, you've got 2 choices pretty much. You've got your PS4 and PC, folks. Yes, I know. Calm down. Breathe. You good?
They're not even here.
Okay. Yeah, that's true.
They're watching some Vive channel.
But I'm gonna say it right out, 100%. This E3, Microsoft will not be announcing a VR headset for the Xbox. What they may see is we might see a little more HoloLens. I don't think we're going to see a product yet, but they really like showing that off, so we're probably going to see that.
They do. It's fun to watch.
My guess is we're going to see their Windows AR kit maybe ported over to the Xbox One.
Okay.
But not a standalone, nothing the equivalent of what we have for PlayStation.
Yeah. I mean,
until they buy the Oculus, in which case then all bets are off.
Buy Oculus from Facebook.
Yeah.
I guess that's always a possibility.
Oh, yeah.
Why don't they just buy Vive instead? Vive is super small.
Because they already have a stake in Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
No.
What's crazy about this, about them, if they don't enter the VR market, it's almost unfortunate because the Xbox One X is by far the most powerful system out there right now.
Oh yeah, no, it's got the hardware to do it. I don't think and they absolutely have the technical aptitude to do it.
Yep.
I just think Microsoft has a history of starting in a product line way too early, failing, getting scared, and then not getting back into it until it's way too late. See smartphones, see smartwatches, see the gaming platform. I mean, how close did Xbox come to failing?
What was if Microsoft didn't have so much money, we wouldn't have seen the 360.
Absolutely.
The original was total abject failure financially.
I think
Didn't they also make the Zune?
The Zune, yeah. Well, and the Zune was one they got into the market too late.
Yeah.
And if you owned one, I mean, the Zune was
a better iPod.
Way better, much easier to navigate, blah, blah, blah. And that's the thing is, like, Microsoft has come out with really interesting ideas, really groundbreaking stuff, but it's always either way too early or way too late.
Yeah.
And I think with VR for, at least as a gaming system, VR, I think they're going to be on the way too late train this time.
Interesting. I'm very curious to know because you talk about all these mistakes that they've made, and you don't think there's anybody internally at Microsoft going, "Hey guys, you want to do it right this time?"
Oh, there's people screaming it. There's people screaming at the top of their lungs, and then getting fired and moving, or moving to companies that will work better.
Yeah.
So okay.
Interesting. All right. Cool. I got to say I'm probably with you on this one.
Yeah.
I don't think. I don't even think we're going to see AR or HoloLens. I think Microsoft is just going to go strictly games. They've got a lot of they need first party exclusive, and they need to talk about them now.
Yeah.
And so I think just to reassure like the Microsoft loyal Microsoft gamers out there, they need to say, hey, we've got stuff coming. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
So I think we'll see a lot of awesome stuff from their first party people.
First party people in the house.
all right. Here's one that in my head makes perfect sense.
Okay.
But I don't know how companies work. BioShock.
Yes.
1.
Yes.
For PlayStation VR. Since PlayStation VR has launched, everyone, all over the internet has been saying, this game would be great in VR. This game would be great in VR. I wish we'd get this game in VR. If you just go to the PSVR subreddit, and it's like all day long, every day, there's somebody going, hey, wouldn't this game be great in VR?
Yeah.
I think I did it for for Dead
Tetris.
Island. Dead Island. Yeah, Dead Island would be great. Ooh, I should change this one to Dead Island. Anyway,
Okay.
but BioShock. So a little BioShock history, okay?
Yeah.
In August of 2007, the original BioShock got released.
We were so young then.
11 years ago.
Wow.
Craziness. Right? Then BioShock 2, made by 2K Marin.
Yes.
Right? With very, very little help from God, why can't I remember his name? This is going to drive me crazy. Ken Levine, the creator of Irrational Games.
All right.
So very, very little assistance from Irrational Games or Ken Levine. So kind of BioShock 2 is sort of like the bastard child of the series.
Yeah.
Right. It's not a bad game, but
No.
it's not theirs. It's not Irrational's.
Right. It's not really. It's not something new. It's just, you like that stuff in that last game. We're gonna do some more of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then 2013, after a super duper long and troubled development cycle, came BioShock Infinite. Right. Now, I personally thought this one, I didn't like it very much.
I loved it so much.
It just, I don't know. Not really.
He doesn't like the sun very much.
I don't like the sun. I like the scary atmosphere, like the dark, creepy world of Rapture. And I don't know. It turned into more of a shooter. I think like it felt like more like shooter mechanics.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And it was fine. It was fine. It was still a great game. But like if I'm picking my favorites, BioShock 1 all the way. And I know that even. There were things that they didn't get into Infinite just because this was such a long, troubled development cycle.
Right.
And so I think if I was Ken Levine and I was Irrational Games, now known as Ghost Story Games.
Okay.
So if you're not familiar, what happened after BioShock Infinite came out, it sold a ridiculous number of copies.
Yes.
Within just like 2 years, it sold 11 million copies.
Right.
It was insane.
Hugely successful.
Right, hugely successful. So where's our new BioShock game? Why wouldn't you follow that up with a new BioShock game and say, here we go?
Because we told the story we need to tell, Brian.
Yeah, whatever. Business, guys, business. You need to make some money. Now,
business.
But Ken Levine.
You got that. You got me? You got me. All right.
This game drove Ken Levine, like, to the brink. Right?
Okay.
He was like, it was too much, and he was like, I don't want to do this kind of thing anymore. I need to scale back, and he goes, and I want to enjoy game development again. And I want to tell the stories that I want to tell. And so in February of last year, 2017, they scaled way back. They laid off almost all but 12, I think, employees. Yeah.
Wow.
And rebranded for Irrational Games to Ghost Story Games.
Okay.
And they said, this is our new venture. So we want to do this. We want to have like more control and less crazy over the top. Yeah. At this point, the studio's got about 25 people.
Okay.
And we don't know what they're doing. The only thing we've heard about BioShock since Infinite came out back in 2013 was the HD remasters.
Okay.
Like
which is fine.
Yeah. And it's like, all right, that was cool, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? But BioShock is a name that is near and dear to all of our hearts.
Oh, yeah.
As a System Shock. And if you don't want that to just go away and just escape into the ether for the rest of all eternity, you need to bring it back. And what could a small team... Now, this is in Ghost Story Games, still owned by 2K, who owns the rights to BioShock.
Right.
What could 25 people do to make BioShock a household name again? What could they do? Because they can't make a full-fledged AAA BioShock game.
Right.
25 people are incapable of doing that in this day and age for current-gen systems. It's just too much work and not enough time. But what they could do is take an existing game. It only took a few months and 5 people to bring Wipeout Omega Collection to PlayStation VR. Sure. I think 25 people could certainly bring BioShock and the whole world of Rapture.
And it could certainly handle the graphics.
It's a last-gen game.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And a lot of the great thing is that like these are some tight corridors. You know, Rapture very seldom opens up into like the big giant rooms or there's no like crazy ass fields. Right? It's a lot of tubes. It's a lot of water running. And if you ever played Resident Evil 7, I know I did, then you'll know that the PSVR is perfect for these types of environments.
Yeah.
Highly detailed, rich environments in small enclosed spaces. And I think it's the next logical step for Ghost Story games, in my opinion.
All right. Well, that kind of brings me, I think one of my predictions, which is going to be a generalized prediction for this. I think with the success of Wipeout, with the success of Skyrim, and maybe a potential success of BioShock, there is a huge market for exactly that. Like, hey, I want to see this game. I want to see this game. I want to see this game. Sony has this huge library of previously existing titles that could be transferred over. I think we're going to see the announcement, maybe not a dev kit specifically, but some sort of software tool available to developers that will help them import their games into VR.
Lloyd finally did it.
I think
Lloyd's been toiling away in the basement of Sony Worldwide Studios trying to come up with this tool. And it sounds like he did it.
Lloyd did it.
Well done, Lloyd.
That's what I'm going to say. Either maybe a tool or maybe a Sony wants to help you, and they're just starting some kind of new process or campaign to get developers to port their stuff into VR.
Yeah.
Because I think, look, we're having an issue getting the AAA titles.
Yep.
Okay, no one wants to take the gamble. What's the next play? It's like, well, we have this huge catalog of 3D based games, that may not, they're starting to get some, 5 people turned Wipeout into a 3D game.
Yep.
They're getting some institutional knowledge to figure out how to do this. I think that's their next play, is to say, all right, we're going to take previously existing titles and start converting them, and on a big way.
What's great about this is that not only does Sony have a huge backlog or back catalog of titles, but it's a lot of titles that a lot of people haven't played, because the winner of last generation was, for the most part, most people played 360.
Yeah. And
so you can look at all the games on PS3 that are sort of just like stuck on that console, or maybe PlayStation Now, if you do that, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's and so there's all these games that tons of people have never played and would seem like brand new titles. Like you get all these people jumping on the PS4 bandwagon for the first time,
right.
and for some people, PS4 is their very first console, as is PSVR.
Yeah.
So you have a lot to work with there, and even I'd venture to guess that you could go back as far as PlayStation 2 even, because if you guys played the game Heroes of the Seven Seas, reminds me of like a Sly Cooper game on the PlayStation 2, and looks, for aesthetically pleasing, even if it's super cartoony.
Right. And those are games that wouldn't take a graphical hit getting imported over. That'll look like, oh, this looks exactly the way I played it when I played it the first time, 5-8 years ago, whatever. But now it's in VR. So how cool is that?
It's cool, and I'm wondering what the pricing structure would be, because I know one of our viewers at one point suggested that Sony do PSVR classics, and it's exactly what you're suggesting. Bring all these PS2 games over and call them PSVR classics.
Well, here's where I'm going to take a slight difference, though.
Yeah.
I don't think Sony is going to be the one to do this, because I don't think they want to take the risk. I think they're going to say, we want to help the developers, the people who own the original IPs. We want to help you do it so you can take the risk, but we're not going to do it for you.
Interesting.
But
partnership. I think a partnership at this point would make the most sense, because you don't want to help studios get their games into VR just so they can bring it to after PSVR release, Oculus, and Vive.
Oh sure. They're gonna lock that. Down.
And I'm totally down for that. We'll keep this one episode. I don't want to split this up at this point. All right, you ready for this one?
Yeah.
All right,
lay it on me.
This one, I don't even believe.
Okay.
What I want to do is I want to suggest that Impulse Gear is working on Farpoint 2.
Okay.
That's what I believe. What I don't believe is that it's even possible at this point to show any gameplay footage or trailer. I think at some point
we'll just see Farpoint 2 flash, and then boom.
I think at the very end of a sizzle reel, you're going to see somebody running at the screen, with some kind of two-handed weapon that turns into an aim controller as they get really close, and then it fades out, and you just see like a Farpoint 2 logo. It says like Impulse Gear at the bottom, coming 2019 or something like that.
Okay.
But
how about that?
Yeah, but I don't think you're going to see like any actual gameplay or anything.
Sure.
And here's why I think this.
Okay.
Because Impulse Gear is if you look at their website, the only quote that's on there from them, it says, located in downtown San Francisco, Impulse Gear is dedicated to bringing core game experiences to virtual reality. So they've done Farpoint, and they are sticking with VR. Like, that is their mission.
Sure.
But the reason it's too early to see actual gameplay is because Farpoint 1 was released May of last year, and then they brought the Cryo Pack June of last year.
Okay.
And then December of last year was the Versus PvP pack. So we're only 5 months into it, right?
Yeah.
But I do think that Impulse Gear by the day is getting to be a bigger and bigger team.
Mm-hmm.
And that what they said in a recent tweet on April 5th was, we're looking for a few veteran game developers to work on a new project to Impulse Gear. Impulse Gear is redefining what a AAA VR game can be. Join us in creating the future of interactive entertainment. And I think the great thing about this is...
Super Tetris?
I think the great thing about this is that the Farpoint engine is already perfect.
Yeah, no, they've got some good bones there. So if they're looking for game designers, they're not looking for graphics folks or things like that. They're looking for actual... So, yeah.
It is the one game, maybe Dick Wild, but for me, it's the one game that uses the aim controller tracking everything better than all the other games. It feels perfect to use that aim controller, and graphically, I think they blew it out of the park. Even though the pro upgrades are like very subtle, they really do add like a little bit more depth and a little bit more clarity to the game. It's just I think Impulse Gear is absolutely killing it, and I think that their team is growing very quickly, and Farpoint 2 is going to happen sooner rather than later.
Okay.
But again, probably just a logo at this point.
Yeah. All right, what
do you got?
So, let's see. I've got a couple to go for now. I'm just going to throw this one because this one, it's not going to take a whole lot of discussion, and I don't think it's...
Okay.
I don't think it's going to happen, but it's one I think needs to happen.
Sure.
More hands-on tryouts. Guys, this, it's maybe not even something they're going to announce at E3. It's just something you need to do. This holiday season, I better be seeing a kiosk at every mall that still exists.
Yeah. There's still malls.
Yeah, there are. You can, I saw Vive ones. I saw Oculus ones. Our friend Anthony, who guested on an episode, it seems like ages ago now, he was a guy who worked, I think was it Oculus? Shoot, I forgot, man. Sorry.
No, he worked for Oculus.
Yeah.
And you saw our good friend Madman in Black, the Game Cat. Right?
Yeah.
He worked somewhere. He was posting pictures on Twitter about there was a VR setup in the mall.
Yep. So
I don't even know if it was a mall or not.
Look, right now, let's face it. Every gamer who has the slightest interest in buying one of these has bought one. I think they've dropped the price as much as they can. All your earlier, not every gamer, all your earlier adopter types.
Yep.
Okay, they've got one. So what do we need to do now? We need to convince people that VR is something they want to try.
Yeah.
And you can't, I don't care how good the trailer looks. I don't care how you cut it. I don't care how you introduce it. I don't care how much you talk about it. It will not sell people on the experience of what VR is like.
Yeah.
It just won't. And so you need to get butts in the seats. You need to get people actually trying one on, give them Moss. All right, there you go. Or just something like that.
Give them the kitchen demo.
Yeah. Just something where they can put it on and go, oh, okay, light bulb.
This is VR.
Right.
Yeah.
And the fact that they haven't done that yet, it's tough.
Yeah, the whole schedule an appointment at Best Buy is just too much, man. It's like you need to catch somebody as they're walking by.
Yeah,
Be like, hey, come check this out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Get a little kiosk, 3 or 4 setups, a couple guys making a minimum wage, done.
All right. So how about this?
Okay. Yeah.
Let's each do one more.
Each do one more. Okay.
Is that okay for you?
Sure.
Fantastic. In that case, I want to finish off with a big question. What do you think Rocksteady Studios is doing right now?
Counting their money?
Probably a whole lot of that.
Yeah.
But
cocaine?
They seem pretty cool.
Sorry, I'm casting aspersions. I have no idea.
Yeah. It's awesome. Rocksteady in 2009 released Arkham Asylum.
Yeah.
In 2011 they released Arkham City.
Yeah.
In 2015 they released Arkham Knight.
Right.
And then of course October of 2016 they released Arkham VR, PSVR launch title.
Woo!
Yeah, we loved it.
Yeah.
And in fact, despite some negative reviews out there in Europe, people suck. In Europe, Arkham VR was the best-selling PSVR game of all of 2017.
Really?
Yeah, in Europe. you got to figure that it can't be that far off in the States either, right?
Yeah, that's...
So,
you guys really like Batman that much over there?
Who doesn't?
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, no, hey, I'm a big Bat fan, but...
I'm a Robin fan.
Yeah.
Tim Drake. Yeah, it's my boy. So, what have they been doing since October of 2016? Also, the fact that, like, you can't... I mean, I know that it was Rocksteady proper. It wasn't some, like, shoot-off side team that was making Arkham VR.
Right.
But it's not a huge game, right?
No.
It doesn't take that long to get through. There's no way that, like, the entire team was working on this thing the entire time.
No, it definitely has a feeling of, we're testing this out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why would you test it out if you weren't going to do something bigger with it? I know a lot of people are like, they're making a Justice League game. They're making a Superman game. They're making a whatever, right? And please, I think it's doubtful that after, Jesus, almost 10 years doing Batman games, I mean, even I'd be sick of it at that point.
Right.
Like, let's stretch your legs. Do something else.
I would say the Justice League IP isn't really looking that great right now, especially with the how well the movies did.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the question is like, knowing that they were dipping their toes into VR with Batman Arkham VR, this is more of a question and more of a fingers crossed thing than anything else. But I do predict that they're going to say, hey, our next game is actually a PSVR game, and it's coming 2019.
Yeah, no, I did love the Batman Arkham VR, but I will be the first to admit it very much felt like a tech demo, because it was like, oh, try to play like this. Now try to play like this. Now try to play like this. Which one did you like? You almost felt like there was supposed to be a survey at the end.
Yeah.
You know.
And it did a great job telling a story. Like, I really enjoyed the storytelling in that game. But yeah, mechanically, it was like, yeah, it did feel very tech demo-like. So I'm curious. I'm like, did they get enough experience making this game to make something way more fleshed out?
Yeah.
Like, or did they do this and go, you know what? Let's go back to flat screen gaming.
Yeah, maybe.
I hope not.
Maybe.
I hope not. And you know, obviously we were talking about how much money they've probably made over the course of the last 10 years.
Yeah.
But is it big enough now to say, hey, Rocksteady is now 2 teams, and this one maybe a little bit smaller is going VR, and this one's going to continue the Batman legacy?
Or maybe loop all the projections together. Maybe they're just going to go back and put the original Arkham.
Please, God, I hope Lloyd's technology is smart enough to bring all of the Arkham games into VR.
That'd be crazy.
That'd be amazing. All right, so you got one more.
This is my long shot. Never going to happen, especially with the current state of things. Some stuff has happened in the past week or so that has made this even less possible. But God damn it, Disney, make up with Sony, and stop fighting over Fox, and just make some VR games, make some VR content. Okay. Obviously, when Disney games come out, they're usually pretty good. Disney is absolutely dipping their toes into VR. There was the standalone, what is it, like lightsaber duels, AR thing.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm not saying that was a great product, but it's saying that they are definitely, we want to play in this neighborhood. They're at both Disneyland and Disney World now. There's the Secrets of the Empire VR experience.
Okay.
It's made by Void, which is a VR and AR company. And from everything I've heard about this, it's an amazing thing. So basically, you and 4 friends get into a room, you put the headsets on, and it's like your VR experiences you've heard about, but it's also overlaid. So like when I look over at you, you're in a Stormtrooper costume.
Nice.
They're absolutely, there's a Disney Imagineering dev team that's actually working on haptic feedback vests for VR. So you'll feel cold when it's cold. You'll feel stuff hitting you when you're getting hit. That's all there. Basically, I'm just saying I want to go to Disney World in VR. Okay, there was a really badly made Disneyland Connect experience for the Xbox 360, which is the closest. Yeah, which is the closest we got to being able to like walk around and see the parks. You have any idea how much money they're leaving on the table right now?
Tons. And we haven't seen. We saw the Rogue One mission as part of Battlefield.
But that's EA.
So I always say Battlefield instead of Battlefront.
Right.
It is, but it's Criterion, and they have the Star Wars license.
Yeah.
By all means, guys, let's all join forces and make this thing happen.
And here's the thing: if they're gonna be releasing something for VR, they're gonna go with a console.
Oh yeah.
They're not gonna, like, Disney is not gonna want to screw with alienating their customers by like, okay, well, your headset and your PC setup and yours is going to make it look bad. They're going to want it to, if if my customer base puts this on, it's going to work.
Yeah.
And that's going to be Sony right now.
Yeah. And also, with Sony's got the most number of headsets out there.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna go toward VR, you're gonna go toward the one with the biggest install base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I liked this until literally just like this last week. Now they're in a bidding war over Fox, so that might shake things down. But man, that's what I want. I want to see a content partnership with Disney and Sony for VR stuff.
Yeah, I hope so. That'd be great. Unlikely, but fingers crossed.
Yeah. Well, like I said, this was I want it to happen.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think all of mine were I want it to happen, and very possibly unlikely for any.
And no PS5. They're not going to talk a second about PS5.
Oh, absolutely not. No. I think the first time we hear the words PS5 won't even be till at best E3 2019.
Yeah.
That's at best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just dumped all that money in PS Pro. They want to sell those before they even get people thinking about buying it.
They're so far ahead this generation that they would be silly. And obviously, Xbox One X just came out.
Mm-hmm.
So Xbox isn't thinking about the next generation.
No.
Why would Sony want to jump the gun and bring out the PS5 if they're killing it? You got to figure at this point, PS4s are practically free to make.
Yeah.
Because the technology is so old that it's almost all profit.
Yeah.
So Sony's in a great place right now, and they want to maintain this lead for as long as possible. I'm very curious to see if they even say the words PS5 next year. I wonder if we'll have another nice long generation.
I think they're going to pretend it doesn't even exist. It's not even a rumor.
Yep, probably for a while. All right, you guys. So I think first, many questions for you guys out there. First, do you agree with any of our predictions? Also, what are your own predictions?
Right.
And then on top of that all, this is we kind of broke form a little bit here.
Yeah.
We usually like to do a nice deep dive into one single game and examine every part of it. But this week we mixed it up. Do you want to see more of these, or do you want us to stick with the review discussions? Let us know. Anything else to add before we move on?
No, this sounds good. I'm pretty excited. We should set up a spreadsheet somewhere that actually has our predictions, and we can go along during the
during the actual show. We can go through and check them off.
Words are not working tonight, folks. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we'll definitely do an E3 roundup when it's all over.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR. As always, I'm Brian.